Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the American Red Cross of Western New York's third annual Real Heroes of Western New York, presented by CalSpan and Mr. and Mrs. John and Carolyn Yurchuk. I'm Kevin Carroll of Spectrum News 1 Buffalo, and I'm thrilled to be joining you as co-host of tonight's festivities.
And I'm Kaylee Wendt. Thank you for joining us for what we know will be an inspiring night at the movies, featuring the stories of real heroes who make up the 7 counties of our Western New York chapter. Tonight's recipients are those individuals and organizations whose selfless actions, often in the face of life-threatening situations, truly reflect the values of the American Red Cross and its mission of preventing and alleviating human suffering in the face of emergencies. Now, whether you're joining us tonight from the comfort of your home or you're here at the Transit Drive-In, we're thrilled to share with you the stories of this year's class of Real Heroes.
And while much has changed in the past year and a half, the mission of the Red Cross has not. In fact, every 8 seconds, nearly 2,000 volunteers who make up the American Red Cross of Western New York respond to disasters within our region. From home fires to floods, the ability to provide help and hope to those who have lost everything in the blink of an eye is only possible through the generosity of people like you. And tonight, we encourage you to be a real hero as well. Throughout our program, we'll share information on how you can do your part to help support the mission of the American Red Cross. Keep an eye out on your phones as we'll be communicating these opportunities to you through text.
But for now, let's get things started. As you may have noticed, we've offered our heroes some designated parking tonight, which we've dubbed Hero Row. Heroes, when your award is announced, we ask that you please turn on the dashboard light provided to you at check-in so that our Red Cross volunteers, properly masked of course, may deliver plaques to you at your vehicle in recognition of your amazing acts. Please turn off the light once you've received your award to ensure our volunteers are able to quickly find our next hero. Now, let's get on with the show.
Let's do it, starting with the heroic actions of Maya Goot, tonight's Good Neighbor Award recipient. Most evenings you can find Maya walking along Chautauqua County's Barcelona Harbor, even braving the wintry and cold conditions to take in the scenery. But one winter night, this past March, Maya took that bravery to a new level to save the life of a stranger. Representing his wife Carolyn and tonight's presenting sponsor, CalSpan Corporation, and their chairman, Mr. John Yurchuk, to present this year's Good Neighbor Award.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the third annual Western New York Real Heroes event. I'm John Yurchuk, chairman of CalSpan Corporation. It's my honor to be joining you once again as this year's presenting sponsor. Each year we receive nominations for local heroes that exemplify the Red Cross mission through life-saving actions or by community impact. I hope that by the end of the night, you consider supporting the Red Cross through a donation by visiting redcross.org/WNY Real Heroes or by clicking on the text you receive later tonight. Now for our first Real Heroes Award. I'm excited to introduce Maya Goot, our Good Neighbor hero. On March 30th, Maya, a regular at the Barcelona Harbor, found herself in a literally chilling situation when rescuing another harbor regular who had fallen into the 37-degree water. Let's learn more about Maya's selfless act that saved the life of another local.
After a routine trip to the grocery store in Westfield last March, 28-year-old Maya Goot of Portland drove down to the nearby harbor.
The Barcelona Pier. I normally go down to the pier to take a walk. I just happened to go down there at the right time.
Maya was there at the same time as 75-year-old Jerry Olson of Mayville, who was on the edge of the break wall as he is most days, feeding the ducks and seagulls.
It's better than sitting home by yourself.
But that day, Jerry walked too close to the edge of the wall, got caught up in a gust of wind, and fell in the water.
hypothermia hit me. I couldn't move, my face underwater. How do I get out of this? As soon as I found I couldn't move, I turned myself up so I could breathe. I finally just gave up hope.
That's when Maya, who was walking in the opposite direction, turned her head when she heard the splash, dropped her phone and keys, ran to where Jerry fell, and jumped in to try and save him.
Just as I was losing consciousness, I heard somebody hit the water, and there was Maya.
Maya says she's not a very good swimmer, but still risked her life to save his.
I was completely in shock how cold the water was. At that point, I just wanted to save his life.
She came out and turned me over so I could breathe.
Maya was able to pull Jerry out of the water and showed us how she carried him to safety.
And I picked him up, put his head up on my shoulder, and I brought him to shore. And I immediately was screaming for help, for someone to call 911.
Maya stayed with Jerry until help arrived.
I owe her my life. First thing I said was, thank you. I wouldn't have drowned.
In addition to his eternal gratitude, Jerry also gave Maya prints of artwork he created as a thank you. Jerry is equally appreciative to the American Red Cross for recognizing Maya's heroic act.
She certainly deserves the reward. She's a real hero.
I was at the right place at the right time. Honestly, I don't feel like a hero because all I wanted to do was to save his life.
A life full of faith, Jerry says, has been spent serving the Lord for more than 40 years.
God sent me an angel in my time of need.
And that is why Maya Goot is your 2021 American Red Cross Good Neighbor Hero.
Thank you and congratulations to you again, Maya. Tonight's next award is our Military Real Hero. And this year's honoree is not only known for her service in the United States Army, but for her service to her fellow veterans and young women right here in the City of Good Neighbors. Presenting this year's Military Hero Award is Ramon Morales from CEFCU.
Good evening. My name is Ramon Morales, and I'm the retail market leader for CEFCU. Today, it's my pleasure to introduce you to Marilyn Young, a woman that had a difficult upbringing, raised in foster care, but when she had the opportunity as she became an adult, enlisted in the United States Army, serving in a few tours and serving our nation. As Marilyn transitioned into her civilian life, she wanted to make sure that she made a difference in Buffalo. How do you do something like this? She participated and volunteers much of her time to We Are Buffalo Strong, an organization that helps feed homeless veterans. She's also involved in two other organizations. First, Pretty as a Daisy, named after her late foster mother. This organization instills values into the young, impressionable ladies and helps them fit into a very challenging society we live in. Marilyn is also involved with WAVE, Women Against Violence Everywhere. This organization is committed to changing our community and the mindset of our young, at-risk young ladies to ensure that they can fit in to a challenging community that we live in. Now, if you'd like to participate and help out veterans, please contact the Red Cross and ask for the Service to Armed Forces Committee, and we would be happy to have you join our team. On behalf of all the employees at CEFCU and a grateful community, it's my honor to present the 2021 Military Hero Award to Marilyn Young.
People are like, how do you do it, Marilyn? You're like the Energizer Bunny.
Marilyn Young is a woman on the go.
We're gonna go over to the cones right here.
Today she's giving out free skates and mentoring on wheels, one of the many programs she runs or helps run throughout the year.
We have mentoring other moms. We have Pretty as a Daisy mentoring. We have the Locked Up Prison Prevention Program. Oh my gosh, we have Hot Dogs and Huggies Outreach. It's just so, Skate Don't Hay, which is my passion, roller skating that helped keep me off the streets and doing positive things.
As a child, Marilyn lived in a transitional house. She was eventually adopted. The couple who became her parents introduced her to roller skating.
I saw how it created a sense of self-worth, and I'm like, I gotta share this with other people.
A U.S. Army veteran, that ideal only grew through the military and as she got back into civilian life.
No soldier left behind, or get your buddy. Like that 2x2 pairing thing. It always caused me to look back and think about someone else.
Important values
We're gonna do shoulder rolls.
taught at an early age.
It goes with them forever because she's not teaching them bad habits. She's teaching them love, patience, kindness, goodness, and things that you can take as life tools.
Something you can see happen
They have a nice colorful pattern.
before your very eyes.
I think I learned most how to be able to like balance myself without having something or someone to hold on to.
How much work did you have to do to get that down?
It took a while.
But you stuck with it, right?
Keep going.
Marilyn has a full-time job. With all the time she puts into these groups, touching thousands of kids through the years, this is like a second one. But that's not how she sees it.
It's my reasonable service. I was shown grace, I was shown mercy by being raised by these wonderful parents who did not have to raise me. I'm like, who am I? No, it's my duty to go back and help somebody else.
And that is why Marilyn Young is your 2021 American Red Cross Military Hero.
Thank you, Marilyn, for your service to our country and our community. Now, the onset of COVID-19 pandemic brought with it a number of challenges for all of us as we work to adjust to this new way of life, but none more than our essential workers, especially when those essential workers are the parents of young children. As you'll hear, this year's Community Service Award recipients are two local organizations who stepped up to meet the challenges and help families in their time of need. It is presented by Chris Faulkner of M&T Bank.
M&T Bank is proud to present the Real Heroes Community Service Award to Cornerstone Arena and Youth Mentoring Services of Niagara County. When the need for childcare amid the pandemic was clear, Youth Mentoring Services of Niagara County partnered with the Cornerstone Arena to take the burden off working parents. The two agencies created Step Up, initially for essential workers, and then as a virtual learning center until children could return to school full-time. In this program, parents found safe and affordable childcare for their children so they could continue to do work in our communities. Youth Mentoring Services' mission is to make a positive difference in the lives of children, and these efforts throughout the pandemic, working alongside Cornerstone Arena, clearly demonstrate that mission. Congratulations to both organizations on this award.
At Cornerstone CFCU Arena in Lockport, things are a lot quieter.
Actually, I'm going to go back to the beginning. We started on March 23rd of 2020 as a virtual learning center for children whose parents were essential workers.
Things started off with breakfast time free of charge. Then the upstairs portion of Lockport's community ice arena turned into a school. It's here Sue Capel's idea to step up came to life.
Called this program Step Up for a reason. We decided it was time to step up.
Capel is the executive director and CEO of Youth Mentoring Services of Niagara County, having direct contact with the community, and as a former educator, seeing kids in distress required a quick solution.
Our goal was to make the program fit the needs of the kids and their families.
Eventually, for a small daily fee, they did that and so much more. Now, the catalyst for Shelley Unisick, who's the GM of the arena, to open up the otherwise closed space was seeing firsthand the bind local healthcare workers were in.
I received a call from Eastern Niagara Hospital. One of the people that works over there is on my board, and she said, Shelley, 20% of my workforce called off today.
No in-person learning was a huge factor, so calls were made, partnerships grew, and so did the kids.
We had some kids who started off really quiet, didn't socialize much, and then they opened up to us along the way and kind of took on a leadership responsibility and roles.
Yep. Some even learned how to ice skate. With crafts, physical education, and even making thank you cards for first responders, the Step Up program offered so much more than a safe place to learn while mom and dad were at work. Up until the end of August of this year, 200 kids would be part of the program. Step Up has now been added into Youth Mentoring Services regular programming, and as you can imagine, it will be held here at the arena.
And actually, to me, it's a celebration of a partnership.
A partnership that's left a lasting impact on these smiling faces. That is why Youth Mentoring Services and Cornerstone CFCU Arena are your 2021 American Red Cross Community Service Heroes.
Above and beyond the call of duty. First on the scene of a home fire this past February, New York State Trooper Joseph Butler Jr.'s selfless actions that afternoon saved the life of a Machias woman unable to escape. The Law Enforcement Award is presented once again to you by Ramon Morales of SEFCU.
Good evening. My name is Ramon Morales, and I'm the Retail Market Leader for SEFCU. It is my pleasure to introduce you to Trooper Joseph Butler Jr. Trooper Butler was called out to a home on State Route 16. When he gets there, he finds a home in flames. As he approaches, he could hear the resident calling out for help. What Trooper Butler did not know is that the resident was wheelchair bound and could not get out of her home. Most of us run away from fire, but not our first responders. Trooper Butler runs into a home on fire, covered in smoke. He can't see in front what's going on. He can only find the resident because she's calling out. Luckily, he was able to locate her and get her out to safety. As soon as they're outside, the home is fully engulfed in flames. Because of Trooper Butler's actions, we still have that resident in our community, and we will forever be grateful. It always reminds me of where would we be without our first responders? And Trooper Butler has made a difference in someone's life, and we will forever be grateful. It is my honor to present the 2021 Law Enforcement Award to Trooper Joseph Butler Jr.
Watching television is how Beverly Gwynn of the Cattaraugus County town of Machias spends most of her days after moving into Underwood Manor Assisted Living Facility in Hinsdale a few months ago.
It's okay. I mean, it's not home, but it'll do.
Beverly lost her home, her first home, in a trailer fire off State Route 16 back in February.
I was making lunch, as a matter of fact, and the alarm went off in the back.
So Beverly, confined to a wheelchair at the time, went to check it out.
And smoke was coming out, billowing smoke was coming out from behind the washer and dryer. Yeah, I was scared for my life. I was trying to figure out how to get out of there.
So she headed for the bedroom to get her phone and called 911.
They said someone was coming and that a trooper would be, knocking on my door.
2168, little bit out, Jim. Came out a house fire with one person inside.
That trooper was Joseph Butler Jr. from the Machias Post.
I was headed north.
After getting the call, he quickly turned around, threw on his lights, and headed to the scene of what is now the charred remains of the house.
Smoke billowing out of the residence.
And ran to the side entrance of the then burning home.
I pushed the door open and said hello, and the lady responded, "I'm in here in the front."
So he then went around to the front of the trailer.
So I punched the door open, and the door, I'm like, "Hello," because I couldn't see anything. It was so full of smoke. And she called out and said, "I'm here." So I went in.
And eventually got her out safely while in her wheelchair. After some time in rehab after the fire,
Learning how to walk again with a walker and with my breathing, because I breathed in a lot of smoke. I don't know.
Beverly then transitioned into assisted living.
I can't cook for myself. I can't get up when I went, go to bed when I went.
And credits Trooper Butler for saving her life.
And he didn't have to do that. He was breathing the same smoke I was. If it wasn't for the trooper, I wouldn't have made it out. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him.
Trooper Butler equally appreciative to the American Red Cross for the recognition, but says he does not consider himself a hero.
very grateful, humbled.
Why is that?
Just another day. Anybody else would have done it.
Very selfless man. I would say, thank you, and God bless him. And he's an angel.
And that is why New York State Trooper Joseph Butler Jr. is your 2021 American Red Cross Law Enforcement Hero.
All right, serious injuries can lead to life-threatening blood loss within minutes, and through its first aid for severe bleeding course, the Red Cross trains others on how to provide life-saving care when the unexpected happens. 15-year-old Josiah Williams put that practice into action this past spring when he helped save the life of a young woman struck by a car on Walden Avenue. Ken Kajawa from National Grid will present this year's Emergency Response Award.
I'm Ken Kajawa. I'm National Grid's Regional Director in Western New York. As the region's largest electric utility, the safety of our customers and our employees is priority number one every day. It is our honor to recognize real heroes in our community who have come to the aid of others during times of distress. Today, we recognize Josiah, a 15-year-old young man who was a bystander who came to the aid of a woman who was trapped under a vehicle as she was hit by a car in the Target Plaza on Walden Avenue in Cheektowaga. The car dragged her a short distance before it had stopped. Josiah, a student at the Western New York Maritime Charter School, used what he learned in a recent basic life support class at the American Red Cross and lessons learned from a Stop the Bleed course to assist the woman. Josiah, by acting quickly and using your training, you were able to prevent a bad situation from becoming tragic. Thank you for your quick thinking in order to help save a life. Please help the Red Cross continue to be there for people during their greatest time of need by making a donation at redcross.org/Western New York Real Heroes. Thank you again for your support of the American Red Cross.
"16-year-old Josiah Williams is wise beyond his years."
It's just had that feeling of helping others, serving the public.
The student at Western New York Maritime Charter School has eyes on a future in the Navy and maybe one day becoming a doctor.
I like emergency medicine, and being a doctor is not something that wouldn't be bad.
He's off to a good start. He got his certification in basic life support through the American Red Cross. He also took a Stop the Bleed course, training he used in real life in May when he saw a woman who had been dragged and trapped under a car in front of a shopping plaza in Cheektowaga.
Immediately I seen blood coming from a bunch of lacerations to her head, her face, usually people would freeze. I didn't.
Quickly, he applied trauma pads to help stop the bleeding. He then assisted a number of Cheektowaga police officers in lifting the car and pulling the woman from underneath it. The woman survived, thanks in part to the heroic efforts of a teenage bystander, something he's reluctant to take credit for.
Not necessarily a hero, but a part of a hero team. I consider the team a hero.
That's why Josiah Williams is our 2021 Red Cross Emergency Response Real Hero.
Last year, the Red Cross of Western New York provided first aid, CPR, AED, and water safety training to nearly 11,000 individuals. We encourage everyone to become Red Cross ready in the face of life's emergencies. In a moment, you'll receive a text with a link to more information about available training in our region and how you can help to make a life-saving difference, just like Josiah. Our next hero is also making an inspiring difference in the health and well-being of others. From the patients she encounters as part of her residency as a general surgeon to a clothing line she launched to celebrate women physicians of color. This year's Medical Hero recipient is Dr. Carol Collier. Tonight's award is presented by meteorologist Dan Russell from Spectrum News.
Thank you, Kaylee, and good evening, everyone. I'm honored to present tonight's Medical Hero Award to Dr. Carol Collier, a former medical student at the University at Buffalo. She's being recognized for her efforts in supporting people of color and addressing racism in the medical field. Now a resident at a hospital in Philadelphia, her legacy lives on here in Western New York. It's for these reasons Dr. Carol Collier is this year's Medical Hero Award recipient. Congratulations.
It's really surreal kind of to actually be called doctor.
You might remember Carol Collier as the UB Med student who started a clothing line while juggling classes and extracurriculars. Twice as Hard Apparel celebrated the resiliency of women of color who had to put in extra effort to achieve their dreams in medicine.
It stems from the lived experience of not having anyone to lead the path at times for me, and wanting so desperately to have someone with my experience or my background or my family makeup.
Now she's Dr. Collier in her residency at the Hospital of the University of Pennsylvania, but her legacy lives on at the Jacobs School of Medicine.
She is one of these rare individuals that walks into a school, an organization, and changes it.
In her time at UB, faculty recalls how she shed light on systemic racism both within and outside of the medical field, amplified by the death of George Floyd.
Carol helped us write a curriculum around social justice and health equity. Carol kept us motivated to stay strong, to inspire others.
Making tangible change through her activism.
It was through Carol's inspiration that the Department of Surgery funded a social justice and health equity scholarship.
Just hopeful that I continue to be a good steward of that trust and inspiration that I continue to move forward with.
That is why Carol Collier is your 2021 American Red Cross Medical Hero.
Okay, each year the Red Cross presents its Youth Good Samaritan Award to those individuals who use quick thinking and life-saving skills to save the life of another. Tonight, we can think of no one more deserving than 16-year-old Renee Hill, an Niagara Wheatfield sophomore who selflessly gave her life to protect her young cousin during a tragic accident this past winter. Accepting the honor on her behalf is Renee's mother, Alexis Kraft. It's presented once again by Ken Kajawa of National Grid.
I'm Ken Kajawa. I'm National Grid's Regional Director in Western New York. As the region's largest electric utility, the safety of our customers and employees is priority number one every day. It is our honor to recognize real heroes in our community who have come to the aid of others during times of distress. Today we recognize Renee. Renee had just turned 16 years old when she went sledding with her 3-year-old cousin, and while they were going down the hill, saw trees coming up upon them. She quickly put her foot down and turned the sled so that the baby would not hit the trees. Unfortunately, Renee lost her life due to the injuries when she contacted the trees, but her heroic efforts saved her baby cousin. Renee made the ultimate sacrifice to help her cousin that day. May her actions that day comfort her family and friends in knowing that she saved the life of her baby cousin.
Earning the Youth Good Samaritan Award is the kind of thing any parent would be proud of. But for Renee Hill's parents, it's pride mixed with profound sadness.
Everyone, right, like from the day it happened, they said she was a hero. She died a hero.
In February, Renee was sledding with her 3-year-old cousin, Ryder, at Clyde L. Burmaster Park in Lewiston. As the two neared the bottom of the hill, they were going too fast, right towards some trees.
She spun, put her foot down, spun the sled around so she would hit the back of the tree, instead of my 3-year-old nephew hitting. And from the impact, it broke his collarbone. But it was just too hard for her.
Renee's heart stopped on the way to the hospital. Her mom isn't surprised she sacrificed herself to protect her cousin.
That's just how our girl was. She's a mama bear. She loved all the babies.
Loving and caring in person, ferocious on the lacrosse field at Niagara Wheatfield Central School. This memorial tree now stands near the field, a tribute to a young woman who was loved by so many.
But she was a beautiful, strong, smart Native girl, and she was gonna go far. She would have.
But thanks to her actions, Ryder has that chance.
He just started his first week of pre-K. His shoulder healed. He's just sad looking for her all the time.
He's too young to grasp exactly what Renee did. The family will make sure he does.
And at the hospital the day it happened, they gave her a blanket and him a blanket, and they gave them each the same teddy bear. And when the woman gave it to him, she told him, "You have a guardian angel. And this is, you and your guardian angel has the same thing." So we still have her bear and blanket at home.
That's why Renee Hill is your 2021 American Red Cross Youth Good Samaritan hero.
Disaster relief has been at the heart of our mission for over 140 years. Responding to 3 million disasters, we've helped millions of people across the country. In 1881, months after Clara Barton founded the American Red Cross, we launched our first response, donating money, clothes, and furniture to victims of devastating Michigan forest fires. From this, we then began delivering emergency shelter, food, and relief supplies during disasters. This led to our first major hurricane response in 1893. For nearly a year in South Carolina, we stood with survivors who lost everything, helping them rebuild their homes and livelihoods. Early efforts like these laid the groundwork for our future responses, many of which we still use today. In 1927, the Great Mississippi River flood covered over 16 million acres, an area bigger than West Virginia. It was our largest relief operation since World War I. By boat and train, we delivered tents, food, and hygiene items, and inoculated people against water-related diseases. In 1969, Hurricane Camille was the most damaging storm on record. The night it made landfall, tens of thousands of people relied on us for shelter, just as they do today for all types of natural disasters. When the Northridge earthquake ravaged Southern California in 1994, thousands of Red Cross volunteers delivered aid such as health and emotional support, and served over 1.5 million meals. Then there was Katrina. At our peak response, we were serving 1 million meals a day. The 2005 hurricane became the biggest disaster to strike our country, and one we will never forget. Since then, severe weather has continued to batter communities, some again and again. In 2017, back-to-back hurricanes Harvey, Irma, and Maria became some of the worst in U.S. history. And record-breaking wildfires continue to rage year after year. Looking ahead, as disasters become more frequent and intense, and with disaster seasons lasting longer and longer, we're continuing to adapt, just as we have for the past 140 years. In light of climate change, we're committed to grow our response capacity and deliver our services more sustainably, so the American Red Cross can continue to help future generations in need. Join us. To learn more and how you can get involved, visit redcross.org today.
For 140 years, the American Red Cross has provided help and hope to those in need. You can help the Red Cross of Western New York to continue that mission here at home by donating today.
All right, thanks, Kaylee. Now, there are other ways to support, too. Did you know that the American Red Cross supplies about 40% of the nation's blood supply? It's thanks to blood donors like Jean Barron, a blood donor with the Red Cross for more than 50 years. Jean marked a major milestone this past spring, donating more than 300 units of life-saving blood here in Western New York. That's why Jean Barron is this year's Blood Service Hero Award recipient. Representing his wife Carolyn and tonight's presenting sponsor, Calspan Corporation, once again is the chairman, Mr. John Yurchek, to present this year's Blood Service Hero Award.
According to the American Red Cross, less than 38% of the population is eligible to give blood or platelets, and only around 3% of people donate yearly. And then there are those like tonight's blood donor real hero, Jean Barron. In 2021, Jean donated his 300th pint of blood, celebrating 50 years of blood donations, which total 37.5 gallons of blood. After hearing Jean's story, we hope you will be inclined to make a difference through this simple but impactful action. You can sign up to donate blood by visiting redcrossblood.org. Let's learn more about Jean's dedication to saving lives through blood donations.
It's a routine Jean Barron knows well.
This is number 303, and this is AB positive blood, and it's plasma.
But his journey to 300 plus donations didn't quite start out as a mission to help others. It was 1970, and he was in the Army.
And they offered me, hey, if you donate blood, we'll let you lay in your bunk for the rest of the day. I said, this is a good deal.
One down, donation number 2 came as a civilian, working for the State Department of Transportation, which held a blood drive. He didn't foresee himself hitting milestones, just helping out where he could. It was only after he got to 10 gallons that he started to think he might be onto something.
I saw no reason to stop. There was really no reason to stop. It was easy to do for me, I guess, and it helps people out, and it just became a way of life.
You can only donate whole blood 6 times a year, but you can donate plasma every 28 days, which Jean started doing in 2016.
And it helps burn victims, cancer patients.
In May, Jean hit his most recent milestone, 300 donations. That translates to 37.5 gallons and countless lives saved. Jean doesn't think too much about the time investment he's made over the years. He's retired now, but still keeps up his donation schedule.
Like anything else in life, you need to have a desire to want to do something. And if you can make time for anything, if you think it's important.
That's why Jean Barron is your 2021 American Red Cross Blood Services Hero.
All right, more than 37.5 gallons donated.
Wow.
Wow, indeed. Congratulations again, and thank you to Jean. I think we could all take a page out of Jean's book. If you're feeling healthy and eligible, we want to encourage you to make an appointment for a blood donation in the days and weeks to come.
It's so important because every 2 seconds someone is in need of life-saving blood, and the goal of the Red Cross is to get the right blood to the right patient at the right time. You should be receiving a text message with more information on how you can make an appointment and help to make a difference that's life-saving for patients in need right here in our community and across the country. And just like Jean, our award recipients know a little about the impact blood and organ donation can have in the face of emergencies. In fact, education heroes Evan Roden, Grace Tapani, Henry McLaughlin, and Sage Sellers have taken their fight all the way to Albany in hopes of passing life-saving legislation.
Thanks, Kaylee. 4 Western New York teenagers, Evan Roden, Grace Tapani, Henry McLaughlin, and Sage Sellers, are being recognized tonight for a coalition they created, all to help save lives. The Youth Coalition for Organ Donation aims to educate people about becoming organ donors, while preparing legislation that changes how people sign up to do so. For their efforts, I'm pleased to honor them tonight with this year's Education Award. Congratulations.
I never would have thought that I would be in a place where 3,000 members from across the United States and the world have come together to support our cause and to push for increasing the rate of organ donation through legislation.
The Youth Coalition for Organ Donation is a nonprofit that sparked from the minds of Evan Roden, Grace Tapani, Henry McLaughlin, and Sage Sellers.
And it turned into something so much greater than just, a club that I might attend once or twice. It became like something that's very important to me and that I still research and like to learn about today.
They all joined the Donate Life Club at East Aurora High School, where they learned about the dire need for organs in New York State and the fact that only 37% of New Yorkers 16 and older are organ donors.
I think the biggest reason is we don't talk about it as a culture, at least in New York. It's not an educational component. We don't talk about it in the high schools as some other regions do. And it's not something that is focused on substantially at the DMV.
That's when Roden had the idea to change paperwork at the DMV to require people to opt out of organ donation rather than opt in. Together, they started a campaign, writing letters, drafting legislation, and presenting it to local and state lawmakers.
So we tried to look at ways that we could have New Yorkers really engage with what they were doing, just take a little bit, a second of their time, and hopefully, save someone's life with that second of their time.
Now their bill awaits a vote next year. If passed, their legislation could lead to the saving of countless lives.
I hope that with us receiving this award, more people will learn about the legislation that we hope to pass and we can get more support.
That's why Evan Roden, Grace Tapani, Henry McLaughlin, and Sage Sellers are your 2021 American Red Cross Education Heroes.
All right, our next award tonight goes to one of the Red Cross's own, Kaylee. While on deployment for Hurricane Laura last year, Kayla McCall went above and beyond what it means to prevent and alleviate human suffering when she provided medical assistance and support to a stranger in need during a tragic incident. Presenting this year's Lifeline Award is Spectrum News meteorologist, once again, Dan Russell.
Thank you, Kevin. Gunfire pierced an already devastated portion of Louisiana following Hurricane Laura last year. But as an American Red Cross volunteer, Kayla McCall knew she had to help. Her efforts to save a stranger's life and calm loved ones after he was shot did not go unnoticed. I'm honored to present Kayla McCall with this year's Lifeline Award. Congratulations.
Rain or shine, Kayla McCall won't pass up a walk at Rhinestein Nature Preserve in Cheektowaga.
Because I feel like it's the most beautiful park. I really love the lily pad pond. It's really peaceful.
Peace is something McCall also likes to give, especially as a disaster preparedness associate with the American Red Cross.
So about 2 years now.
She volunteers through a contract with AmeriCorps. Her passion to give back started back in 2005 when Hurricane Katrina ripped through the South.
And I ended up creating a lemonade stand.
Fast forward to last year. McCall found herself in Louisiana helping in the wake of Hurricane Laura's devastation. Just 3 days into her time there helping those displaced find a place to stay.
We had snacks there if needed, so we, give them food.
The unthinkable happened as she took a break.
As I was waiting in line for coffee, that's when I ended up hearing the gunshots.
But unlike most, McCall didn't run away.
When I saw that man, turn around the corner bleeding, that's when I just jumped into action.
That's when McCall used her training to help. She found police and called paramedics. She then ran to Red Cross's shelter nearby to find an item she only recently learned can be used to treat gunshot wounds.
Just as I was about to push the tampon into his bullet hole, his wound, paramedics showed up.
McCall still stayed and turned her attention to those who knew the victim.
Just felt like I had to do something, even if it was just holding space and standing there with her.
No doubt her warmth was felt by those watching as paramedics tried to save a life. The gentleman unfortunately passed away, though, on his way to the hospital. Looking back, McCall wishes she could have done more.
Look at that right there.
And is left humbled by the experience and her nomination.
I don't feel like a hero, but I just feel like, I'd like to believe anyone would do that if, that was me bleeding out.
That is why Kayla McCall is your 2021 American Red Cross Lifeline Hero.
There truly are a lot of heroes among us tonight, and this year's workplace safety recipient is no exception. But to NFTA bus operator Robert Oler, April 27th was just another day on the job, despite providing life-saving chest compressions to a passenger in distress. Tonight's Workplace Safety Hero Award is presented by Chris Faulkner of M&T Bank.
M&T Bank is proud to present the Real Heroes Workplace Safety Award to Robert Oler. While on his regular bus route, Robert, in his role as an NFTA bus operator, was alerted to a medical emergency on his vehicle. The passenger was unresponsive, so Robert immediately began chest compressions while EMS was on their way. Despite the passenger losing breath 3 times, Robert continued the compressions for several minutes until paramedics arrived to take the passenger to hospital. And while Robert felt he was just doing what anyone else would do, his extraordinary efforts are a shining example of safety in the workplace. Robert, congratulations on the Real Heroes Workplace Safety.
It's very rewarding because we're transferring people from place to place, getting them where they need to go safely.
Robert Oler has been an NFTA bus driver for nearly 8 years.
It's very exhilarating. I would recommend this career to anybody.
And safety of the passengers is paramount.
Making sure your eyes are continuously moving. You're always checking your mirrors, checking your surroundings around your bus.
On April 27th, it all came into play. While at a stop, Robert and another passenger noticed a man struggling to breathe, and they jumped into action.
There was another gentleman passenger seated over here. He got up. He put his arms under the gentleman like this. I grabbed the gentleman's feet and we brought him up to this area of the bus where it's wider. And I just bent down and I just started going on his chest like this to get the blood flowing again. So this way he would start to breathe again.
He says he learned to do chest compressions from watching TV.
I believe I was like, hey, tapping him in the face, hey, come on, let's go. Today's not your day. You're not doing this today.
He then called in the emergency, and crews arrived to help the man a few minutes later. Heroic actions to keep someone alive, even if Robert doesn't think so.
I'm just an NFTA bus operator transporting people from point A to point B safely and on time. And that day, safety was this gentleman's life.
That's why Robert Oler is our 2021 American Red Cross Workplace Safety Real Hero.
Well, our four-legged friends, they're family for sure, and when a local family dog, Gracie, found herself trapped in the frigid waters of Ellicott Creek last winter, Cheektowaga Patrolman James Rakowski wasted no time stepping in, literally wasted no time stepping in to save a furry friend in need. Presenting this year's Animal Rescue Award, meteorologist Dan Russell of Spectrum News.
Thanks, Kevin. Our men and women in blue put their lives on the line every day to serve our communities, and that's exactly what Cheektowaga Police Patrolman James Rakowski did last December. He waded into waist-deep, freezing cold water last winter to rescue a newly adopted dog from Ellicott Creek. It's my honor to present Patrolman James Rakowski with this year's Animal Rescue Award. Congratulations.
Sit. Lay down. Go.
Bodie and Gracie live a pretty good life at Patrolman James Rakowski's Cheektowaga home. So when he got a call on a cold December day about a dog stuck in a creek,
Stand by.
he knew where his priorities were.
Fire can't hurt, I guess. Hey, buddy. Yeah, as we're trained, throughout law enforcement, they always tell us, no matter what kind of situation you're in, do something. Don't just stand there and do anything, do something.
Gracie the boxer was headed to her first vet appointment after being rescued, but got scared and bolted, landing her in a dangerous situation.
We had the snow melt that day. It was colder, and the creek was moving quite good.
It was the end of Rakowski's shift, but he knew he had to move quickly.
If I were another dog owner and I wasn't able to get to my dog, I would want somebody to jump in after it. Hi! And that's just kind of what I did. Scary at first, for sure, just because you're out there. At the time when I first found her, I was by myself.
He brought Gracie to safety unharmed and risked his own life to save hers.
If I was in there and I wasn't able to grab onto a branch or anything like that, I could have gone down the creek with her.
That's why Patrolman James Rakowski is your 2021 American Red Cross Animal Rescue Hero. Even at the young age of 2, the bond between a young boy and tonight's final honoree is palpable. Casper's mother, Susan, was rushing her son to the hospital on April 21st when she realized he was no longer breathing. It's because of Ryan Suter's heroic actions along the 190 on April 21st that young Casper is able to be with us and his family this evening.
Yeah, joining us once again to present our final award this evening is Mr. John Yurchuk, representing his wife Carolyn, and chairman of tonight's presenting sponsor, Calspan Corporation.
Hello again, everyone. What a tremendous group of real heroes for our 2021 event. I hope that tonight's stories have touched your heart and reminded you of the good in this world as we've learned more about the heroes among us here in Western New York. I'm honored to be rounding out tonight's extraordinary stories with this year's Adult Good Samaritan Hero. So often we fail to notice our surroundings or pay little attention to what's going on around us on our daily commute. Not so for Ryan Suter. Noticing a woman in distress on the opposite side of the I-190 as her 2-year-old was turning blue, Ryan drove across the median to come to their aid and whisk them to the hospital in time. Let's hear more about tonight's final hero and the difference he made in the life of a young boy.
This is where it happened. This is the 190.
Wednesday, April 21st, a typical day for Ryan Suter.
So this is where I'm starting to think about dinner.
That is until he spotted a car, blinkers on, backing up against traffic, and then
I noticed some lady running down the road with a child in her arms.
That was Susan Rosansky.
I can hear her screaming, "Help, help, my child's dying, my child's dying."
Her son Casper, at 2 years old, spiked a fever. She was heading to the urgent care when he turned blue and lost consciousness. She didn't know what to do. As cars zoomed by, Suter decided he needed to act.
I got to about here and I stopped and started getting out and I hear her screaming. So then I drove across right here and then picked her up and then came back around.
Within minutes, they were headed to a nearby hospital.
It was second nature. The way I reacted to go across the road was just instinct.
It happened so quickly, Suter later found out someone had actually reported it as a kidnapping. And while it may have felt like an action movie,
I think I might have gone in two wheels right here, turning this corner.
This was real life, with real people, who only later would Suter realize he knew. He'd gone to school with Susan's husband and coached one of their other kids.
And then I looked at her closely and I'm like, "I know you." And I'm like, "I know that kid that just went back there." So I was shocked.
Thankfully, just like on the big screen, this story has a happy ending. Casper got out of the hospital a few days later doing just fine. Suter still keeps in touch with Susan and her family. Their kids are even in the same class this year. He looks back on that day and hopes it inspires others. If you see someone in need, help. It could mean the world.
I just wanted to help them in a time of need, and I guess if that's a definition of a hero, then that's a hero.
That is why Ryan Suter is your 2021 American Red Cross Adult Good Samaritan hero.
Good evening. I'm Colleen McCabe, Interim Regional Executive of the American Red Cross of Western New York. On behalf of all of us, I want to extend our sincerest gratitude and congratulations once again to all of our 2021 Real Heroes. Once again this year, the inspiring profiles you witnessed tonight helped to bring these amazing stories of each of our heroes to life. And it would not be possible without our media partners at Spectrum News 1 Buffalo. I want to thank the entire Spectrum team, including our MCs, Kaylee and Kevin, for their time and efforts in making tonight's entire production possible. I want to recognize our Real Heroes Committee, particularly our event chair, Mary Elizabeth Cavello, and our event specialist, Heather Duffin. For 140 years, the American Red Cross has continued to serve and give hope during life's emergencies. Last year, nearly 800 Red Cross volunteers in Western New York provided food and clothing, shelter and support to more than 850 families after fires and other disasters, installed more than 160 free smoke alarms to make more than 150 households safer, provided more than 900 case services to support military members, veterans, and their families, and collected more than 10,700 units of life-saving blood from our volunteer donors. But we cannot continue our mission without your support. Each and every day, we rely on the generosity of the American public and heroes like you to deliver these vital services to our community. By now, you should have received a text with information on how you can be a hero for your community by supporting the Red Cross. Please take a moment to click on the link to make your gift now, or you can visit redcross.org/WNY Real Heroes after tonight's show. Know that each and every dollar donated to the Red Cross helps to support our mission and that no gift is too small. On behalf of the American Red Cross, thank you for taking the time to join us this evening to celebrate all of our deserving heroes, and thank you for watching. Have a great night.